What is up, guys, and welcome back to yet another free lesson on a Friday. This one is number 50, I think. So we're nearly at that year mark, just 2 more, and then it's a year's worth of free lessons. This week, we're going to be taking a look at the track Prowling Blues by Jam Track Central or JTC Guitar. This month, I am actually the judge for the competition Jam of the Month, whereby the winner of this gets a free, I think it's an Ibanez TS9 pedal. But yeah, essentially all you have to do is play over this backing track. I'm gonna be looking through all of them, picking which I think is my favourite take. There's already some amazing ones up there. So yeah, if you do want to get involved, I'd highly suggest. So you basically download this backing track for free. It's available over on jtcguitar.com. And just video your best take. I think it's 1 entry per person, but yeah, I'm going to be listening through to all of them. I can't wait to hear them. Today, I thought we should take a look at all the different ways you can approach this. I chose this backing track actually for a bit of a special reason, which we'll get into in a minute. But first, I just want to ask you guys, please make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, click that little bell for notifications. It just helps the channel grow, and it's greatly appreciated. So without further ado then, guys, let's go into the teaching part then. Okay, so with this backing track then, one of the main reasons I chose it is for this simple fact that it's quite open-ended. There's a number of scale options that we've got to use, or a number of sounds that we can draw from here. Now, essentially the backing track for the main part is just around this kind of riff. That's just the root and the flat 7 if we think about it. Root, root, flat 7. And then later on you'll hear this. Now that's flat 3 to 4, but really whenever I hear this kind of flat 3, especially in like the context of a blues, it can be a flat 3 or it can be slightly bent into a major third like this. I think that's the kind of sound that, you know, I hear anyway when I hear this kind of thing. So it leaves it open-ended. We've got so many scale options available to us if we think all we need to do is construct a scale that contains a flat 7, so the options are huge. Today we're going to look at a few different ways and a few different scale options you can use. So the first place I would actually start then would be just with the minor pentatonic over this kind of sound. It contains all the notes we want. We've got the root, the flat 3, the 4, the 5th, and the flat 7, which is, again, like I say, the important note there. And it works. Like, think of the blues itself. A lot of the phrasing is based around pentatonics. I think you can do so much with just this scale. And it works really well. Let's just hear what it would sound like if I just played minor pentatonic over this. Okay, so hopefully you can hear the minor pentatonic works totally fine over that. It would actually work over the next section as well, but we're going to take a look at the chords for that in a little moment. I think first what we should do is look at the other options that we've got over this kind of static E kind of groove with that flat 7. So another pentatonic that we could use would actually be the major pentatonic, and you might be thinking, why have we just used minor there? Well, essentially it's down to that third. This third is kind of ambiguous, like I said. Major pentatonic, if we look at the intervals within that, we've actually got this. We've got root, major 2nd, major 3rd, and we've got the perfect 5th, major 6th, and then root. So that would work. There's no flat 7 though. So what I would tend to do here is actually play like a dominant pentatonic. You could mix that with the major pentatonic. Dominant pentatonic, I like to call it this. There's a few different ways you could think of it, but essentially the intervals of the scale which I'm using are this. We've got root, major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, flat 7, and then root. So the scale should sound like this. I've got quite a few lessons in this free lesson on Friday series on that. If you are wondering how can I get more of those sounds, but let's take a look at what it would sound like if we mixed the major pentatonic and this dominant pentatonic. I'm just going to stick just to those two scales across the fretboard. Let's check out that. Okay, so hopefully you hear how that all works. Basically, the dominant pentatonic plus the major pentatonic, they just give a totally different feel. We're kind of implying more of a Mixolydian tonality, which is one of the full scales we'll be looking at in a little bit. But first, I think it's a good option for us now, as we're on this like pentatonic train, to take a look at the other section and how we can maybe fit or play over that using just pentatonics. So the other section's quite simple. It just goes to like a C major chord to an A minor chord, which would imply really that we're kind of in E minor. You know, if we think that we basically have like C is the 6th chord, this one here, and then we have, A minor is going to be the 4th chord if we're thinking in the minor key. So that would tell me actually that I could play just E minor pentatonic over all of it. Why? Let's look at E minor pentatonic over C. So we've got essentially this. We've got the major 3rd. We've got the perfect 5th. We've got the that's a major 6th. Then we've got the major 7. And then we've got this here, which is going to be our major 9. So that will all fit over C. And then over A minor, those intervals will become this. We'd have, that is going to be our 5 now. Then we've got the flat 7. Then we've got, this will be the root, obviously. Then we've got the major 2nd. And then we've got this, which is the perfect 4th or the 11th. And then that's going to go back basically to that 5th again. So all notes kind of, that's the theoretical reason why they work there. But essentially we could think of it like this. We could use minor pentatonic over the whole track. That's one of the reasons I chose this. So, if you're only just getting into improvisation, it will work. But what we could do is mix over the other section, the first section, the A section, if you like. We can play either major pentatonic, dominant pentatonic, or this E minor pentatonic, and it's going to work. So really, it's just being careful of over the second section, the C major to A minor, you just use E minor pentatonic. Hopefully this all makes sense and this sounds cool. I'm going to give this a go now. So I'm going to play over the full track. See if you can spot when I'm using major pentatonic, when I'm using dominant pentatonic, and when I'm using the minor pentatonic. Let me know down in the comments below. Okay then, let's try this. Okay, so hopefully you can hear that all works there. Now, the one thing to focus on with this is probably that minor third to major third relationship. It's what the blues guys do all the time, is they'll kind of make it ambiguous. I think I've spoken about this quite a few times on the channel, but basically it's not quite a major third, I should say. Like, we get this kind of sound, which sounds lovely, and you can really play with that, make it really ambiguous. You know, is it major, is it minor, is it dominant 7, you know, those kind of ideas, really. Now, moving on, I think what we should look at now is full scales. We've used pentatonics up until now. What we can do is take a look at some of the options available to us. So, first one would be, knowing that we've got a flat 7 in there, would be, I think the Dorian mode is going to be the go-to if we're treating this as like a minor 7 chord, you know, this one. So the Dorian mode is essentially just a minor scale with that major 6th, if you like. You've got these following intervals. We've got root, major 2nd, minor 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, minor 7th, and then root. And that just really kind of outlines this kind of minor 7 tonality. The only problem will be when we get to the next section, where it becomes, you know, C major to A minor. We'll look at that in a second. First, let's just hear how the Dorian mode as a full scale sounds over that track. Let's give this a go. Okay, so hopefully you can hear that one sounds actually pretty cool as a full scale. That was the Dorian mode. The next one, though, is we could treat this as like a dominant 7 chord, this sound. The scale I'd associate there would be the Mixolydian scale. Now, the Mixolydian scale, I like to just think of it as like a major scale with a flat 7. We've essentially got this, so you've got root, major 2nd, major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, flat 7 or minor 7, and then the root again. So just kind of clearly states a dominant 7th chord. That will not work. Like I say, over the second section, we have to think about that a little bit differently. But first, we're just focusing on this A section, if you like. So let's have a listen to how Mixolydian sounds over that. Okay, so it's worth noting there then that you can do the whole kind of minor 3rd into major 3rd, or not quite. You can really play off that with that scale the same way we did with like the major pentatonic and the dominant pentatonic. It's just got that vibe to it, this. Or this kind of sound as well. Now, if we were to look at the second section before we take a look at crazy options and crazy scales, it's worth seeing how we can tackle this. So essentially it's going C major 7 to A minor 7, if you like. Now, you could think of it like this. You could think of it as like that's A Dorian and C Lydian, which technically are the same scale if you like to think of things like that. But for me, really, I'm just trying to look for the notes that would spell out those chords. So arpeggios are your best friend, I always think, when it comes to trying to outline the sound of changes. So you could play like C major 7 arpeggios and A minor 7 arpeggios. And that will hopefully make the sound of that. If you're concerned about the full scale around it, yeah, think of A Dorian, C Lydian, do the same thing, or even E natural minor if some people are inclined to think that way. I always like to think, though, with a visualization of the, whatever chord I'm playing over from the root. If I do it as E natural minor over everything, I tend to lose that a little bit and it just becomes muscle memory, So let's just hear then. I'm going to play over the first part. I could mix Mixolydian or Dorian. It's totally up to me. Or major pentatonic, minor pentatonic, and dominant pentatonic, like we did previously. And then over that second section, I could think of either E minor pentatonic, or I can start to think of the arpeggios to outline those chords. So here is all of that together then now, before we look at some outside sounds. Hopefully this is starting to sound really cool now. We've got such a mix of different kind of major type sounds if we think like Mixolydian, and then we've got like the kind of minor sounds if we play like Dorian. It's worth pointing out the way which we used arpeggios to navigate the changes. I tried to make them really obvious there. Is we could use arpeggios over the first section too. So you could use E minor 7 arpeggios or E dominant 7 arpeggios if you wanted to outline, more of the Mixolydian sound, and that would work. But now let's get on to the kind of juicy stuff, if you like. So this is playing outside. Now, like I said at the beginning, we've got so many scale options to us because really the only thing which I'm hearing as kind of like a, standout note is that flat 7. So we could take a look at some scales, like for example, the diminished scale. That's a nice one. We've got this. This sound, we could play altered scale if we wanted, which would be like this. We could play Lydian dominant if we wanted, something like this. They're all really nice options there. What I'm going to do is just do a take where I'm going to play, a few examples, hopefully, of each of those scales. See if you can spot them down below in the comments. Okay, let's give this a go. So some of that might sound a little bit over the top, but it's one of them. I just wanted to demonstrate, the different outside sounds you can use over that there. The most important thing with outside playing is to make sure that you resolve them well. Technically, you can play anything over any chord if the phrasing is good and we, as the listener, feel that kind of resolution to something that feels normal, Now, before we kind of wrap this up, I do want to say, just for the fun of it, really, good thing to do if you're struggling with your phrasing and you can't come up with anything good for you, I guess, or you don't feel like anything's working. A good thing to do is to limit yourself. I always think that limitation exercises are the best thing. So now what I'm going to do, this is kind of like the ultimate level, if you like, is to limit myself just to one string, using all of the things from before and see if I can come up with nice phrases. Usually this kind of brings out a nicer feel because you're really having to think of the notes. And if we just take like one string, like the B string, for example, then we are forced to think more like, a keyboard player would. There's no other options to play the same note. If we want that note, it's just in that one place on the fretboard, if you like. So let's give this a go. This is just going to be the B string solo limitation exercise, I guess. Okay, guys, now I know that might be a little bit extreme, but it's one of them. I find that if I get stuck in a rut with my phrasing, that's one of the exercises that helps me kind of break out of this. Now, you don't have to limit it to just one string. You could do 2-string limitations, 3-string limitations. It's one of those, though. I always find that limitations tend to bring the best of my creativity out. And when I'm forced to think about less, usually the cooler things come out rather than thinking of too much information and trying to cram it all in, So I hope you've enjoyed these takes so far, guys. Don't forget, if you want the chance to win an Ibanez TS9 pedal, all you have to do is head over to jtcguitar.com, download this backing track, and I'm going to be picking my favourite at the end of the month. There's already some amazing entries in there. I'm looking forward to hearing all of your guys' versions. Don't forget to tag me in them. I'll try and repost as many as I can in my Instagram stories. And I'm looking forward to checking them all out. So guys, before I wrap up here, then I'm just basically going to give it another take using all of the ideas that we've covered today. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know which was your favorite take. I'm intrigued with this. Was it the one where I was just using the B string? Did that have more feel? Or was it, I don't know, just the Mixolydian, just the Pentatonic? Let me know. I'm intrigued. So comment below. Guys, thanks again for checking this out. Till next time. Cheers.